First, let us discuss economic inequality. The distribution of income in South Korea is noticeably uneven, as indeed in most other countries. In 2015, the top 10% of South Koreans owned 66% of the national wealth, while the poor half of the population owned only 2%. This injustice, coupled with corruption scandals among the upper strata of Korean society, has created great frustration among Koreans. Bong Joon-ho builds an artistic depiction of social inequality in his films in a peculiar way. In the film Parasite, social inequality is portrayed vertically. The house of a rich family is located on a hill, while the dwelling of the poor is at the bottom. To the house of a rich family, one must constantly go up, and to the house of the poor, one must constantly go down. On the one hand, this is undoubtedly the metaphor of the upper and low strata of society, but at the same time, one should not forget that in real life, all the elite areas of Seoul are located on the uplands, and all the poor neighborhoods are in the lowlands. The vertical of social inequality also has a third level, the level of the basement, in which at the beginning the husband of the former housekeeper lived, hiding from creditors. Then there was the head of the Kim family hiding from a prison term for the murder of the head of the Park family. In another film, Snowpiercer, Bong Joon-ho depicts horizontal inequality. The director shot a complex film where the train rushing across the icy planet was a metaphor for the human society, with its social injustice and division into classes. At the tail of the train the social deprived people are going, which the fascist dictatorship feeds with the protein biomass from processed beetles. And at every opportunity they are reminded of their place with the help of a system of harsh punishment. The privileged classes travel in the first carriages, for whom, even in conditions of a lack of resources, everything is enough in excess. The lifestyles of the Park and Kim families in Parasite are diametrically different. The tiny window of the Kim's dining room is the basement and opens onto the street, which serves as the urinal for drunk people. At the same time, the giant windows of Park's mansion overlook the large manicured lawn, surrounded by neat hedges. The Kims eat cheap pizza and drink cheap beer. Park's usual everyday food is premium beef. Director Bong Joon-ho focuses on the lack of social mobility for dirty spoons. In the Kim family, each person is smart and resourceful in his own way. However, they are so poor that they have to sit next to the toilet in order to use the Wi-Fi of upstairs neighbors. It is under these conditions that the Kim family comes up with the idea of concocting documents in order to get a profitable job. In Parasite, Kim's son Ki-woo, who is fluent in English, uses a friend's recommendation and forges a college certificate to trick the Parks into getting a job as an English tutor for their teenage daughter. Ki-woo's sister, Ki-yeon, pretends to be an art therapist and gets a job with Park's troubled young son. In the movie Parasite, we see how a girl forges a diploma from Yonsei University, since it is one of the 3 most prestigious and is known for being golden years studying there. A diploma from a less prestigious university would not have opened the door to the Park family home for the heroine. Parents soon join their children's tricks and, posing as a professional driver and housekeeper, get jobs for the wealthy Parks. For many Koreans, scandals represent the misbehavior and unfair advantages of the rich and powerful. Public frustration with social injustice in South Korea spread in 2016, largely to corruption. In the same year, former President Park Geun-hye was prosecuted for allegation of bribery, extortion, and abuse of power. Central to Park Geun-hye's resignation was the news that she worked closely with her friend Choi Soon-sil, who was convicted of conspiring with university officials and faculty to help her student daughter get high grades despite rarely attending classes. In one of the last scenes of the film Parasite, the wealthy head of the Park family recoils from the stench of Kim living in terrible conditions. For many Koreans, this episode is a reference to Park Geun-hye when she hid her hand behind her back and did not respond to an offer of a handshake from one of her supporters. The incident spread all over television news. That is why Korean viewers were impressed that Bong Joon-ho filmed a similar scene in his film. Now let us talk about global and local aspects of inequality. The inclusion of Korea in global context is reflected in the film under consideration primarily in the form of copying the standards of Western life. It is impossible not to pay attention to the names of the heroes of the film. In Parasite, in order to get a job in the wealthy Park household, Ki-woo had to change his name to Kevin, Ki-yeon to Jessica. Mr. Park's wife uses English words and expressions all the time in her speech, which makes her character comical. The same can be said about the home of the Park family from Parasite, who are housed in the famous architect's own mansion with trendy interiors and landscaping. Both architecture and design are made in Western traditions and bear little resemblance to the dwellings of typical poor Kims. At the same time, Parasite director Bong Joon-ho skillfully portrays the details and nuances of specifically Korean markers of inequality, which are not always clear to those who are not the bearer of Korean culture. Food is an important marker of Korean culture, which Bong Joon-ho places a lot of emphasis on the film. This aspect of inequality is not ignored in reviews. Koreans mention chapha-guri, instant noodles, one of the cheapest in Korean stores. When a housekeeper in a rich house, at the request of her mistress, cook these noodles with expensive marble beefs, this is already ridiculous because it shows the difference in the standard of living of the poor and the rich, as well as sarcasm on the part of the director. The scenes with alcohol is also indicative. First, on the table of poor family, we see the simplest beer in Korea. Then, after getting a job in a rich house, they already have quality beer exported from Japan. In a rich house left without owners, the Kims are already drinking whiskey. Another marker of inequality in the movie Parasite is the fumigator car that drives around near the Kim family's house. These cars drive through poor areas and destroy insects with caustic gases. Such devices are never used in the prestigious neighborhoods of Korean cities. Of course, here again we see the irony of the director. The fumigator means a machine designed to destroy parasites. This sarcastic ploy by Bong Joon-ho once again shows his love to humor.